The sky above the planet Virelia was a swirl of deep purples and bright golds, colors no human eyes had ever seen on Earth. Towering crystal spires jutted from the jagged mountains like frozen lightning, and the air shimmered faintly as if it were alive. Amid this alien beauty, one figure moved with quiet determination, her long robes brushing the jagged terrain. She was Lyra, a woman of her people known for brilliance and mystery. She carried with her a small box, unlike anything Alex or anyone else had ever encountered. The box seemed simple at first glance, a metallic cube no bigger than a human's fist. Its surface was smooth, flawless, and without seams, yet it radiated a faint hum that tickled the air around it. It was her box, her secret, and it had remained closed and silent for decades. Many had tried to understand it, and a few had even attempted to open it, but none had succeeded. The box did not respond to force or clever tricks. It had a mind of its own, or perhaps it mirrored the mind of its owner. Lyra walked through the violet-lit plains, the box held close to her chest. She had always been careful, distant, and closed off. Her people respected her for her intelligence, but none could reach her emotionally. She believed the box protected her, shielding the parts of herself she did not wish anyone to see. Inside it were fragments of her memory, shards of knowledge she had collected in solitude, and emotions she had never shared. It was safe there, untouched, unbothered, and she intended to keep it that way. But everything changed the moment Alex arrived. Alex was not like any other being on Virelia. He was human, tall, with a lean build that suggested endurance more than brute strength. His eyes, a warm hazel, always seemed curious, constantly observing and analyzing, yet never dismissive. To the Virelians, humans were unpredictable, reckless, and often irritating. They considered humans inferior in many ways, weaker, less disciplined, and incapable of the subtle mental control that their species prided themselves on. But humans had one thing Virelians lacked: ingenuity that came from empathy, intuition, and thinking outside rigid rules. Alex had arrived as part of a diplomatic mission, sent to establish contact with Virelia's High Council. From the moment he stepped onto the crystal-paved city streets, he drew attention, not because of his appearance, but because of his demeanor. Unlike the Virelians, who moved like precise instruments, every motion measured and exact, Alex moved with a natural rhythm, full of slight imperfections that somehow made him human. It was these imperfections that made him unpredictable and dangerous to underestimate. He first saw Lyra from a distance. She was alone, walking among the towering crystal spires, her robes catching the ambient light and the box clutched tightly. Something about her presence drew him in, not as a curiosity but as a puzzle. He noticed the faint hum around the box, and instinctively, he felt that it was more than an object. It was alive in its own way, or at least it responded to the life within Lyra. Curiosity got the better of him. "What's that?" he asked, his voice carrying across the open plains. Lyra froze, her sharp eyes narrowing. "It is none of your concern, human," she said, her voice calm but firm, like ice against fire. Alex smiled, unbothered. "I mean no harm. I'm just curious. You seem—" "Careful with it." Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. She had encountered many who claimed curiosity, but it almost always ended in disaster. She had learned that those who pushed too hard often tried to take, manipulate, or destroy. Humans were bold, yes, but their boldness bordered on reckless. "Curiosity can be dangerous," she warned, "especially here." "I like dangerous," Alex said simply, shrugging. He did not step closer, respecting the distance she set, but he kept his gaze on the box. Sometimes the things we fear most are the things that teach us the most. Lyra stared at him, suspicion battling interest. There was something unusual about this human. He did not approach her with the arrogance of other outsiders, nor did he attempt to pry forcibly into her affairs. Instead, he observed. He listened, and he spoke not to control but to understand. That alone made him different. For hours they stayed like this, Lyra walking, Alex following at a distance, asking small questions about the world, the spires, the creatures that flitted through the shimmering skies. He noticed how the box reacted, not with sound or movement, but with a subtle shift in its hum, almost as if it were aware of his presence. Lyra felt it too. She had never noticed the box respond to another in this way. Always it was her alone, controlling, protecting, shielding. Yet now, with Alex nearby, it reacted subtly, as if testing him, measuring him. Finally, Lyra stopped. "Why do you follow me?" She demanded, her patience thinning. "I want to understand," Alex said honestly. "Not to take, not to control, just to understand." "I think that's all the box wants too, to be understood, not forced." Lyra blinked. It was an unusual statement. Most visitors tried to pry or force, yet Alex simply observed and offered empathy. There was no hidden agenda in his voice, no subtle threat. Just an acknowledgement of existence, a recognition of the box's importance, perhaps. "You are different," Lyra said slowly, "but understanding is not enough. Curiosity can be fatal." Alex nodded, conceding the point. "Then maybe I'll stay alive by not trying to open it." He smiled, and for the first time Lyra noticed something rare. The human's calm confidence, as if the unknown did not scare him, but intrigued him. Over the following days, Alex and Lyra crossed paths often. Each encounter was brief, yet he learned more about the box simply by observing her. He noticed patterns. The box seemed to respond to Lyra's emotions. When she was angry or fearful, it went silent and tighter. When she was calm or thoughtful, it hummed faintly, almost as if listening. Lyra, meanwhile, found herself unsettled. She was used to keeping control, to hiding, to being the sole guardian of her secrets, yet Alex did not try to pry. He simply asked questions, explored patterns, and shared small insights about human ways of thinking. It was strange and unsettling, but it sparked something long dormant within her, a sense that maybe, just maybe, the box could be opened without breaking. One evening, as twin moons rose over the violet plains, Lyra walked along a narrow cliff edge, the box clutched in her hands. She paused to watch the moons reflect on the crystalline mountains below. Alex appeared beside her silently, as if he had materialized from the shadows. "You don't fear heights?" he asked. "I fear many things," she replied. "But I fear more losing control than falling." He nodded. "Sometimes control isn't about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go a little." Lyra's hands tightened around the box. She had never let anyone near this part of her life. The box was a mirror of her mind, of her deepest fears and memories, things she had locked away for decades. She had learned to rely on it, trust in it, even love it. And yet, Alex stood there calmly suggesting something she had never allowed herself. Trust. The box hummed faintly, almost in response to his words. Lyra's eyes widened. It had never done that before. Not for anyone, not even for herself. Why does it respond to him? She wondered aloud. "Maybe it recognizes something in me," Alex said softly. "Or maybe it recognizes something in you. The box isn't just about protection, it's about connection. Maybe it's waiting for someone who sees it for what it truly is." Lyra stared at him, a mix of fear and curiosity swirling inside her. She had spent so long closing herself off that the idea of opening, even a little, seemed impossible. And yet the box vibrated faintly in her hands, as if urging her to consider it. For the first time, Lyra questioned herself. Could she allow someone in without losing herself? Could a human, someone so different from her people, actually reach into her world and touch the deepest parts of her soul? Alex waited silently, patient, unassuming, unpressured. He did not ask for the box. He did not demand it. He simply existed nearby, a constant reminder that not all challenges needed brute force. Some needed understanding, empathy, and the courage to trust. As the moons bathed the plains in their soft light, Lyra felt the first stirrings of change. The box, once cold, distant, and unyielding, now vibrated faintly in her hands, alive in a way it had never been before. And for the first time, she wondered if perhaps, just perhaps, the box could be opened, not with strength or skill, but with a human's quiet courage and a willingness to see beyond the surface. The journey had only begun. Days passed on Veralia, and the air carried the quiet tension of curiosity and caution. Lyra walked the crystal plains with her box, still protective, still wary, yet subtly changed. The faint hum it emitted seemed slightly more responsive when Alex was near. She did not understand it, and that unsettled her. For centuries, she had believed the box was unyielding, impenetrable, a reflection of her control and strength. Now, for the first time, it seemed to hint at something different. Alex moved through the alien landscape as if he belonged, even though every step marked him as an outsider. He observed, learned, and adapted. While the Verelians often measured intelligence in precision and memory, Alex relied on observation, intuition, and empathy. He had noticed patterns in the box's behavior. It responded not to attempts to force it, but to subtle shifts. gestures, emotions, thoughts, and trust. One morning, the twin sons of Virelia cast elongated shadows over the spires. Lyra had chosen a secluded valley, a place few dared to visit to study the box and gather her thoughts. She crouched by a small stream of shimmering liquid that ran like mercury across the crystal floor. Alex arrived quietly, as if he had anticipated her location. "You don't seem surprised," she said, her voice tight with suspicion. "I learned to expect patterns," Alex replied with a soft smile, "and sometimes the pattern is just waiting for someone to notice it." Lyra regarded him silently. She had always been cautious around others. Her people valued privacy and control above all else, and she was no exception. Yet there was something different about this human. He didn't demand or pry. He didn't try to dominate or manipulate. Instead, he watched, he asked small questions, and he observed. That alone made her uneasy and intrigued. "You continue to follow me," Lyra said finally. "Why? Other humans would have tired of the futility by now." "I am not like most humans," Alex said simply. "I am curious, yes, but curiosity is not the same as obsession. I want to understand, not to take. And I think your box is trying to tell us something." Lyra's fingers tightened around the box. She had never allowed anyone even a hint of its secrets. To her, the box represented safety, control, and the essence of herself that she had long hidden. She had learned that trust was dangerous, yet with Alex she felt a strange mix of caution and possibility. "Tell me," she said slowly. "How do you propose to understand it? You cannot force it open." "I don't want to force it," Alex said. "I want to see what makes it alive." He paused, studying the box. "I've noticed it responds to you, not me. But it changes when I am near. Maybe it reacts to the connection, the intent behind the presence." Lyra frowned. The idea that the box could respond to intent alone was unsettling. For centuries she had believed it was impervious, a constant in her life that would never waver. Yet here was a human suggesting otherwise. Over the next several days, Alex and Lyra continued this delicate dance. He observed from a distance, asked careful questions, and shared human ways of thinking about problems. Alex's approach was methodical in its own way, but it relied on intuition rather than rigid logic. He would point out patterns, suggest possibilities, and leave room for Lyra's choices. At first she resisted. She told herself that humans were reckless, that they could not understand the subtlety of the box or the complexity of her emotions. But gradually she began to notice the small things. The way Alex would mirror her gestures without copying them. The way he would listen without judgment. The way he respected boundaries while still seeking to learn. One evening, as the violet sky deepened to indigo, Alex brought a small device to the valley. A light analyzer designed to detect faint energy fluctuations. He set it near the stream and activated it. A soft hum filled the air and a faint glow appeared along the edges of the box. Lyra's eyes widened. "How did you—" she began, but Alex held up a hand. "I'm not trying to open it," he said calmly. "I'm just observing. You see, the box reacts to you, not the tools. But tools can help us notice what's happening inside." Lyra remained silent, unsure whether to feel relief, suspicion, or something else entirely. The glow pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat, synchronized with her own breathing. She realized for the first time that the box was not just a container. It was a reflection of her. Every lock, every hum, every vibration mirrored her emotions, her thoughts, and perhaps her fears. "Then it is alive," she said softly, more to herself than to Alex. "Alive, in a sense," he replied, "but not in the way you might think. It doesn't live without you. It lives with you, and it reacts to how you engage with it." Lyra turned the box over in her hands, studying it as if seeing it for the first time. "So all these years I have been trying to control it when it only ever wanted connection?" Alex nodded. "Exactly. And you've been protecting yourself through it, which is understandable, but perhaps it's ready to reveal more if you allow it." She hesitated. Vulnerability was not easy. Her entire life had been about control, precision, and self-reliance. To open the box, truly open it, would mean exposing herself, facing emotions she had long hidden, and trusting someone else. And yet, something in Alex's presence made her consider it. The following day, Lyra decided to test a small change. She allowed herself to speak aloud to the box, describing a memory from her youth, a memory she had never shared with anyone. As she spoke, the box responded, the hum growing slightly louder, the glow pulsing with her words. Alex watched silently, a reassuring presence. "See?" he said softly. "It reacts to honesty, not force. You're giving it what it needs, your attention, your understanding." Lyra's voice trembled slightly. She had never realized that opening the box was not about breaking barriers, but about engaging with them gently, with respect and patience. For decades, she had assumed that strength meant control. Now she saw that strength could also mean trust. As days turned into weeks, Lyra began to share more with the box, small pieces of herself she had buried. Alex guided her gently, never pushing, always observing. He noticed patterns, subtle reactions, and moments when the box responded with a faint warmth or a hum of acknowledgement. One afternoon, a sudden tremor shook the crystal plains. The ground quivered, and small shards of crystal rattled underfoot. Lyra's box pulsed sharply, more intensely than ever before. Fear flared within her, and for the first time she considered leaving it behind. Alex reached out calmly. "It's okay," he said. "The box feels what you feel. If you panic, it will panic. If you stay calm, it will stay calm. Trust yourself. Trust it." Lyra's hands tightened around the box and she drew in a steadying breath. Slowly, deliberately, she allowed herself to focus on calm and intention rather than fear. The box pulsed in harmony, its hum soothing rather than alarming. Alex smiled faintly. "You're learning," he said. "You're connecting. That's what it wants." Lyra felt a small, unexpected warmth in her chest. She realized that Alex's presence had changed something fundamental. He had not forced her, not demanded, not pried. He had simply existed alongside her, patient, observant, and supportive. And in doing so, he had begun to unlock something within the box and within herself. That evening, as the twin moons rose again, Lyra allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. She realized that her life had been a series of walls, each built carefully around herself and her box. For decades, she had feared that opening the box would mean losing control, losing herself. But she now saw that the act of opening, of trusting, was not a loss. It was a transformation. Alex approached her quietly, as he always did, and stood beside her. "You're ready for the next step," he said. "Not because I'm here, but because you've allowed yourself to see it differently. The box is not an enemy. It is a part of you waiting to share itself when you are ready." Lyra looked down at the box, then back at Alex. For the first time, she felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps there was a way to open it fully, to explore the depths she had kept hidden without fear. Perhaps a human with his patience, his empathy, and his curiosity could help her discover what no one else ever had. The box vibrated softly in her hands, almost as if it agreed. Lyra's lips curved into a small, cautious smile. She did not know what lay ahead, but for the first time she felt that opening the box, truly opening it, was not impossible. And she felt that with Alex beside her, it might even be safe. As night settled over the crystalline plains, Lyra and Alex sat together in silence, watching the glow of the moons and the faint hum of the box. It was a quiet moment, yet it was filled with promise. The journey had only just begun, but already, the first cracks in the walls were forming. For centuries, the box had remained closed, guarding its secrets and her heart. Now it had chosen to respond, not to force, but to trust. And Alex, the human who dared to approach what others feared, had unknowingly begun the process of opening it, one careful, gentle step at a time. The calm of Virelia was suddenly shattered by an unnatural tremor that shook the crystal plains. Lyra's box vibrated sharply in her hands, sending a pulse of light that reflected across the jagged crystal formations. The air carried a low, resonant hum that even she had never heard before. Lyra froze, her heart beating rapidly. Something was wrong. The box seemed agitated, as though sensing the danger before her own mind could fully register it. Alex appeared beside her as if he had anticipated the disturbance. "Stay calm," he said softly. His voice, steady and unshaken, cut through her panic. "The box reacts to what you feel. If you panic, it will panic. Focus on your breath. Focus on control." Lyra inhaled deeply, gripping the box tightly. It pulsed again, this time in a rhythm that almost matched her heartbeat. She realized that Alex's words were true. The box did not simply respond to external stimuli. It mirrored her emotions, her fears, and her confidence. If she could remain steady, it could remain steady. The tremor intensified, shaking the crystal spires around them. Shards of glittering rock tumbled down like rain. Lyra stumbled, but Alex caught her quickly. "We need to move," he said. "There's a fault forming in the ground. The area isn't stable." Together, they began to navigate through the trembling terrain. Every step was cautious, every movement measured. Lyra noticed how Alex observed the box, her movements, and even the shifting crystals around them. He didn't just react, he analyzed, predicting the danger before it fully materialized. It was unlike anything she had seen among her own people, whose strength relied on strict logic and physical skill. Alex's intuition was an entirely different kind of strength. They reached a relatively stable plateau, but the tremors continued. The box pulsed more violently now, the glow intensifying. Lyra realized with sudden clarity that it wasn't afraid of the tremors. It was afraid of her fear. She had always treated it as a tool, a container of knowledge and memory, but in this moment she understood it was more than that. It reflected her inner self. If she wanted it to remain calm and functional, she had to confront her own emotions first. Alex noticed the change in her demeanor. "See," he said quietly. "You're already influencing it. Trust yourself. Trust the box. They respond to honesty and awareness, not force." Lyra swallowed hard and allowed herself to breathe in a slow, steady rhythm. The box's glow softened and its hum settled into a calmer tone. She felt a small surge of pride and relief. It was the first time she had realized that the power of the box was not in its secrecy or its locks, but in how she approached it, how she faced herself. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the valley. A fissure had opened in the ground nearby, and a wave of unstable energy surged toward them. Lyra instinctively raised the box, and it reacted with a bright pulse that shielded them from the initial shock. Alex's eyes widened with awe. He had suspected the box had defensive capabilities, but he had never imagined it could act in tandem with her will so directly. "We need to move fast," Alex urged. "The box is strong, but it can't protect us indefinitely. Keep your focus. Control your emotions." Lyra nodded, her confidence growing. She felt a strange connection to the box now, a sense of partnership. For the first time, she realized she wasn't just carrying it. She was part of it, and it was part of her. Together, they began to navigate the fractured terrain, avoiding falling shards and unstable crystal formations. Every pulse of the box provided guidance, almost like a heartbeat leading them safely forward. As they moved, Lyra allowed herself to speak softly to the box. She shared memories she had kept hidden, small fragments of her past, moments of fear and joy. The box responded, its hum harmonizing with her voice. Alex watched silently, amazed at the delicate interaction. This was not simply an object. It was a reflection of her inner world, and she was learning to communicate with it in ways no one else had managed. They reached the edge of a cliff overlooking a deep chasm. The tremors made the ground unstable, and one wrong step could send them plummeting. Lyra hesitated, fear creeping in. The box pulsed rapidly, reflecting her anxiety. Alex placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. "Focus," he said. "Your fear is natural, but it can't control you. You control it. Control yourself and the box will follow." Lyra took a deep breath, centering herself. She visualized a path across the unstable ground, imagining every step carefully before placing her foot. The box glowed steadily, a reassuring presence in her hands. With Alex guiding her, they carefully navigated across the chasm, one measured step at a time. Once across, Lyra allowed herself a small smile. I did it," she whispered, awe and relief mixing in her voice. Alex smiled back. "You did. And so did the box. You're learning to work together, not against it. That's the key." The tremors began to subside, leaving the valley eerily quiet. Lyra set the box down gently, studying it in the soft glow of the setting suns. She realized that for the first time she felt a sense of trust, not just in the box, but in Alex and in herself. The box had been a barrier for decades, but it was not unbreakable. It required patience, understanding, and courage. Alex crouched beside her, studying the box. "You're discovering something important," he said. "The box isn't just a container of knowledge or memory. It's a reflection of you. Every lock, every pulse, every glow is tied to how you approach it, how you trust it, and how you trust yourself." Lyra nodded slowly. "I always thought strength meant control. I see now that strength can also mean trust, awareness, and connection." Perhaps I was protecting myself all these years, but in doing so, I also prevented the box from reaching its full potential. Exactly, Alex said. And now you're beginning to unlock it. Not through force, but through understanding. That's something few have ever achieved. Over the next several days, Lyra and Alex worked together to explore the box further. She began speaking aloud more often, sharing memories and emotions she had kept hidden. The box responded, its glow pulsing in harmony with her words. Alex observed carefully, offering subtle guidance when she hesitated, encouraging her to trust both herself and the box. They discovered that the box could store not only memories and knowledge, but also emotional energy. It could amplify creativity, intuition, and problem-solving when engaged properly. Lyra was astonished. She had assumed it was a tool of isolation, yet it was capable of fostering growth, insight, and connection. One day, as they sat beside a shimmering stream, Alex asked, "Do you know why you've never been able to open it before?" Lyra shook her head. "I always tried to control it, to force it, to protect myself. I never considered that it might respond to honesty, awareness, and trust." Alex nodded. Humans often approach problems differently. We rely on intuition and empathy, not just logic and force. Sometimes that's enough to unlock what seems impossible. Lyra studied him, a mixture of admiration and curiosity in her eyes. "You make it sound so simple." "It isn't simple," Alex said with a faint smile. "It takes courage to face yourself, to be honest with your fears, and to trust something else, whether it's a person or a box or even your own instincts. You've taken the first steps. The rest will follow." As the suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the crystalline landscape, Lyra felt a quiet determination. She realized that the box had been a mirror of her inner world all along. By facing her fears and sharing herself, she was not losing control. She was gaining understanding, strength, and connection. Alex remained by her side, a steady presence, quietly observing, patiently guiding. Together, they were beginning to unlock something extraordinary, not just the box, but the potential within Lyra herself. The hum of the box, once distant and untouchable, now pulsed in harmony with her heartbeat, a sign that the first real cracks in her defenses had appeared. For centuries, the box had remained closed, guarding its secrets in her heart. Now it was responding, showing her that the true path to opening it lay not in force or cunning, but in trust, awareness, and connection. And with Alex beside her, she began to understand that even the most impenetrable barriers could be opened, one careful, courageous step at a time. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, Lyra felt hope. A quiet, steady hope that the box and herself could be fully unlocked, and she knew deep down that with Alex's guidance and presence, she was ready for whatever came next. The sun rose over Virelia, casting long streaks of gold across the jagged crystal spires. The air shimmered with a faint energy that made every surface appear alive, as if the planet itself was observing the two figures standing on the high plateau. Lyra held her box tightly, its hum steady but curious, almost anticipating the day ahead. Beside her, Alex watched quietly, calm and patient the way he always was. For days, they had been exploring the box's subtle reactions to Lyra's emotions, learning to communicate with it, rather than trying to force it open. But today, they would face a new test, a trial that would push both Lyra and the box to reveal what had been hidden for decades. The Virelian Council had sent word that a natural anomaly had appeared in the northern plains, a massive energy surge that threatened to destabilize the planet's surface. Cracks were forming in the crystal mountains, sending dangerous shards tumbling down the slopes. Normally, the Council would handle such matters with their elite teams, but something about this anomaly was unusual. It pulsed with an energy pattern that mirrored the faint hum of Lyra's box. Lyra's eyes narrowed as she studied the reports. She felt a strange connection between the box and the anomaly, a resonance that made her uneasy. "The box is reacting," she whispered to herself, her fingers tightening around it. "I've never felt this before." Alex noticed the change immediately. "Then we go," he said simply. "Whatever it is, the box is trying to guide us. We need to trust it and each other." Together they set out toward the northern plains. The journey was treacherous, with jagged shards of crystal jutting up like spikes and unstable ground that threatened to collapse with every step. Yet the box pulsed steadily in Lyra's hands, a quiet but insistent rhythm that seemed to lead them forward. Alex followed her closely, scanning the terrain, offering advice when necessary but never rushing or forcing. His patience had become a stabilizing presence, and Lyra felt her own confidence growing with each step. As they approached the source of the anomaly, a sudden tremor shook the ground, throwing them off balance. Lyra instinctively raised the box, and a protective pulse of energy radiated outward, stabilizing the area immediately around them. Alex's eyes widened. He had suspected the box had defensive properties, but he had not expected it to react so quickly or powerfully in the midst of such chaos. "The box," Lyra said, awe and disbelief in her voice. "It's responding to the danger, to me, to us." "Yes," Alex replied. "It's not just a container. It's a reflection of your mind, your emotions, and your intentions. The stronger your focus and trust, the stronger it becomes." Lyra took a deep breath, centering herself. She allowed herself to feel the fear and uncertainty, then gently pushed it aside, replacing it with determination. The box responded, its glow intensifying and stabilizing as if confirming her control. Before them lay the anomaly, a massive fissure in the ground, pulsating with a strange, swirling energy. Sparks of light danced across the edges of the chasm, casting eerie shadows on the surrounding crystal spires. The air was charged with raw power, and even Alex could feel the hum in his chest resonating faintly with the box in Lyra's hands. "We need to approach carefully," Alex said. "The energy is unstable. One wrong step could trigger a collapse or worse." Lyra nodded, feeling the box vibrate gently, almost as if encouraging her to proceed. She began to walk forward, each step measured and deliberate. Alex mirrored her movements, observing both her and the box for any sign of change. As they drew closer, Lyra spoke softly to the box, sharing a memory from her childhood, a moment of fear when she had nearly fallen from a cliff. The box pulsed in response, its glow harmonizing with her words. Alex watched in fascination. "See how it responds to honesty?" he whispered. "It's not force or manipulation, it's connection, trust, and awareness." Lyra focused on that connection, letting her emotions flow into the box. She felt a warmth spreading through her hands, a sense of unity with the object she had once considered nothing more than a container. The box's glow expanded, illuminating the surrounding area and stabilizing the ground beneath them. Suddenly, a surge of energy shot from the fissure, a wave of raw power that threatened to engulf them. Lyra instinctively raised the box, and it responded with a bright, protective pulse that shielded them from the blast. Alex's mouth fell open slightly in surprise. He had seen the box react defensively before, but never with such precision or power. "It's incredible," he said, awe in his voice. "It's like it's alive, but more than that, it's learning, adapting." Lyra nodded, her focus unwavering. She realized that the box was not just reflecting her emotions, it was amplifying them, turning her calm, focused intent into tangible energy. The more she trusted herself, the more the box responded. They continued forward, reaching the edge of the fissure. The energy pulsed violently, sending shards of crystal flying into the air. Lyra hesitated, fear creeping in despite her focus. The box vibrated sharply, mirroring her anxiety. Alex placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "Focus," he said. "You control this. The box reflects you. Let it guide you, but don't let fear control you." Lyra took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She allowed herself to feel the fear, then let it pass, replacing it with determination. The box responded instantly, its glow stabilizing and expanding, creating a safe path across the unstable ground. Step by step, they navigated the perilous terrain, moving with precision and trust. Once they reached the center of the anomaly, Lyra placed the box on the ground and opened it slightly. Not fully, but enough to release a small wave of light. The energy from the fissure reacted immediately, harmonizing with the box's glow. The swirling chaos began to settle, the fissure stabilizing under the combined influence of Lyra's focus and the box's power. Alex watched in amazement. "You're doing it," he said. "You're controlling it, not through force, but through understanding and connection. This is incredible." Lyra smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and awe in her eyes. "I never imagined it could do this," she said. "I thought it was just a container, a shield, a prison, but it's more than that. It's a part of me, and I've been learning to be a part of it." The fissure slowly closed, the energy stabilizing completely. The valley was safe once more, and the box's glow returned to its gentle, steady pulse. Lyra realized that she had not only protected herself and Alex, but had also tapped into a power she had never known she possessed. Alex knelt beside her, studying the box. "You've unlocked something extraordinary," he said. "It's not just a container or a reflection, it's a partner. And you've learned to work with it, not against it. That's something few could ever achieve." Lyra looked at him, gratitude and respect in her eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. "You taught me to trust, to see the box not as a barrier but as a reflection of myself. And in doing so, I've learned to trust myself." Alex smiled. "You already had the strength. I just reminded you to notice it." As the sun set over the crystalline plains, casting long shadows across the landscape, Lyra allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. She realized that the box had never been a prison. It had been a mirror waiting for someone to understand it. And with Alex's guidance, patience, and unwavering presence, she had begun to unlock it not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. Over the following days, Lyra continued to explore the box, revealing more of her hidden memories and emotions. Each revelation strengthened her bond with the box and with Alex. She began to understand that true strength was not about control or isolation, but about connection, trust, and the courage to face one's own fears. Alex remained by her side, a constant presence and guide. He did not push, demand, or interfere. He simply observed, encouraged, and shared insights, allowing Lyra to grow at her own pace. And in doing so, he demonstrated a form of strength that her people rarely recognized. A strength born of empathy, patience, and understanding. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the crystal plains, Lyra looked at the box and then at Alex. "I think I'm ready," she said quietly. "Ready to open it fully, to see what has been hidden for all these years." Alex nodded. "And I'll be here with you. Not to control it, not to take it, but to support you. Together we can face whatever is inside." Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the box in her hands. She realized that the journey was far from over, but for the first time she felt hope, not just for the box but for herself. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and had emerged stronger and more connected than ever before. The box, once a barrier and a mystery, now seemed to hum with anticipation, as if ready to reveal the secrets it had held for decades. And Lyra knew with quiet certainty that with Alex beside her she was ready to face whatever lay within. The journey of discovery, trust, and transformation had reached a new stage. The box was no longer just a container, it was a gateway, a reflection, and a partner. And with every step forward, Lyra and Alex were uncovering not just the secrets of the box, but the depths of courage, connection, and human ingenuity that could overcome even the most mysterious of challenges. The planet Zareth Prime stretched out before Ethan and Lyra like a landscape from a dream. Towers of crystal jutted from the ground, reflecting the light of the twin moons and casting dancing patterns across the alien terrain. The air was alive with energy pulses, some natural, some perhaps remnants of the technology Lyra's people had left behind. Ethan felt the familiar pulse of her presence beside him, steady and comforting. They had left the cavern after their encounter with the intruders, and for the first time Ethan realized the true scale of the challenges they might face. The intruders were not alone. This planet had drawn attention from forces far beyond his comprehension, yet he also understood something profound. Humanity's ability to adapt and improvise could make them stronger than anyone expected. Lyra moved ahead, her glowing form cutting through the crystal forest like a beacon. Ethan followed, careful to match her pace, studying the energy patterns around them. He had learned to interpret her subtle cues, the way she could guide him through the dangerous terrain without a word. "Do you see that?" he asked aloud, pointing to a formation of crystals that pulsed differently than the others. Lyra slowed, tilting her head. A wave of thought passed to him, clear and direct. Danger. Ethan's heart quickened, but he did not hesitate. Humans thrived under pressure. He activated the shuttle's scanning equipment, focusing on the crystal cluster. Energy readings spiked suddenly, sharp and erratic. The crystals were not natural. They were a form of technology, perhaps a sentinel or a warning system. Before he could react, the crystals emitted a burst of light. Ethan instinctively ducked as energy arcs danced across the ground, and he felt Lyra's power stabilizing the field. Together they managed to absorb the energy, redirecting it harmlessly into the environment. It was a delicate balance, and Ethan realized that human intuition and quick thinking were what made the difference. Once the crystals had settled, Ethan and Lyra continued, more cautious than before. He noticed that the landscape changed as they moved farther from the cavern. The ground was softer, dotted with plants that emitted faint bioluminescent glows. Small creatures, alien in shape but strangely intelligent, observed them from the shadows. Ethan remembered his training. Observe, adapt, do not interfere unless necessary. Lyra's thoughts guided him. She showed him patterns in the creature's movements, subtle signs that indicated whether they were curious or dangerous. Ethan learned to anticipate these behaviors, adjusting his path and his actions accordingly. Together they moved with a rhythm, human and alien, synchronized through trust and understanding. As the hours passed, they reached a plateau overlooking a vast valley. The energy reading surged again, stronger than anything Ethan had experienced. In the distance, he saw a formation of structures unlike any natural formations. Towers of crystal and metal intertwined, alive with energy. Lyra's glow intensified. She projected images into his mind. Her people's cities lost to cosmic storms, destroyed by forces they could not control. She revealed the reason they had chosen this location. These structures contained technology that could protect her species and perhaps humanity as well. But it was fragile, vulnerable to attacks from those who sought to dominate or destroy. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. Humans had always faced challenges, but this was different. The fate of an entire species rested on their actions. He looked at Lyra, her gaze steady and resolute, and felt the word again in his mind, mine. It was no longer a whisper of connection. It was a declaration of partnership, trust, and shared purpose. They descended into the valley carefully. The ground was uneven, dotted with alien flora that reacted to their presence. Ethan noticed that some plants emitted energy pulses when disturbed. He adapted, moving cautiously, relying on both his instincts and Lyra's guidance. Suddenly, movement caught his eye. A group of intruders emerged from the shadows, more organized than before. They moved with precision, clearly coordinated, and their energy signatures were aggressive. Ethan's pulse quickened, but he did not panic. Humans thrived in the face of danger, and he had learned to combine strategy with adaptability. Lyra's glow flared, projecting a shield of energy around them. The intruders hesitated, sensing the combined strength of human ingenuity and alien power. Ethan adjusted the shuttle's defenses, creating barriers and redirecting energy pulses. Together they formed a force neither could match alone. The intruders attacked in waves, but Ethan's quick thinking and Lyra's power allowed them to repel each assault. He noticed patterns in the intruders' movements, weaknesses they could exploit. With a precise combination of energy manipulation and human strategy, they forced the intruders to retreat, deeper into the valley. As the last intruder disappeared into the shadows, Ethan and Lyra took a moment to recover. He felt the word again, mine. It resonated with certainty, trust, and mutual reliance. Ethan understood fully now. This bond was not about possession, it was about partnership, about facing the unknown together. They pressed forward, reaching the ancient structures. The towers of crystal and metal pulsed with energy, alive in a way that reminded Ethan of Lyra herself. She guided him through the defenses, showing him how her species had integrated technology with biology, creating systems that were self-sustaining and intelligent. Ethan marveled at the complexity. He realized that humanity's strength lay not just in tools or weapons, but in creativity, adaptability, and the ability to form connections. He could learn from this technology, and perhaps teach them something in return. They explored the structures carefully. Ethan discovered control panels that responded to thought and movement, energy conduits that could be redirected to stabilize the systems. With Lyra's guidance, he learned to interact with the technology, combining human problem-solving with her innate understanding. Hours passed, and Ethan felt a growing sense of accomplishment. Humans could adapt, learn, and innovate in ways other species could not. Lyra's trust in him was well placed, and he felt a deep sense of pride in their partnership. As they reached the central chamber, a large energy core pulsed at the heart of the structure. Ethan could feel its power, immense and raw. Lyra projected images of her people, showing him how this core had once sustained entire cities, protected them from cosmic storms, and maintained life on their world. Now it was vulnerable, and they had to act to protect it. Ethan studied the core, analyzing the energy flow. He realized that humans could provide a unique perspective, adapting the systems in ways her species had not anticipated. With careful adjustments, he redirected energy pulses, stabilizing the core and preventing overload. Lyra mirrored his actions, amplifying his efforts with her energy. Together, they succeeded. The core stabilized, glowing steadily, its power contained and secure. Ethan felt a surge of satisfaction. They had not only protected the technology, but had also demonstrated the power of human ingenuity and collaboration. Lyra's presence beside him was warm and reassuring. The word echoed again, mine. It was now a symbol of unity, trust, and partnership. Ethan nodded, understanding that their bond was unbreakable, forged through shared challenges and mutual respect. As they prepared to leave the structure, Ethan reflected on what they had accomplished. Humans could rise to challenges no other species could, not through strength alone but through intelligence, adaptability, and courage. Lyra had chosen him not just for his skills but because humanity could complement her species in ways no one else could. The twin moons rose higher in the sky, casting silver light across the valley. Ethan felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. The universe was vast and filled with unknown dangers, but he no longer felt alone or unprepared. With Lyra by his side, he knew they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. He glanced at her, and for the first time, he felt a profound sense of connection. She was not merely an ally. She was a partner, a guide, and a reflection of what humanity could achieve when paired with knowledge beyond their own. Ethan reached out, and she mirrored his gesture. The energy between them pulsed softly, a sign of harmony and mutual respect. Together they stepped into the night, ready to face the unknown, their bond stronger than any threat the universe could present. And in that moment, Ethan understood the true meaning of the word mine. It was not about control or possession, it was about trust, unity, and the courage to face the impossible together. The journey ahead would be challenging. Forces beyond their understanding were moving, and threats were gathering. But Ethan felt ready. Humanity had always risen to challenges, and with Lyra's guidance they would not only survive, they would thrive, proving that the human spirit was as strong as any energy in the universe.